Apocalypse.
Hi everyone, and welcome to my updated KVD Boom Boom build in Once Human. Get ready to unleash the devastating A.O.E damage that will leave your enemies in ruins. In this video, I will be showing you what armor, mods and buffs I used. As the king of A.O.E, watch the world burn under your power, and when you hit the silos, the destruction is just getting started. Strap in, it's time to make some noise. I'm showcasing my KVD Boom Boom build in Pro Prime War today, and just to clarify, I'm going all in with no missiles, pure DPS all the way. It gives you an insight into what kind of DPS can be achieved. Let's see how it performs. As you can see, my final damage to the boss was over 600,000 more than the person behind me. So now let's take a look at the KVD Boom Boom and its features. 18% chance to trigger burn on hit. Hitting a target triggers an explosion dealing 300% psi intensity A.O.E blaze damage with a cooldown of 2 seconds. Deals 40% damage to players. This explosion will apply 1 stacks of burn to the hit enemies. Blaze damage plus 30%. So let's have a look at the keyword burn and see what it means. Deal 12% psi intensity as status damage every 0.5 seconds for 6 seconds, up to 5 stacks. The additional damage is blaze element. Cannot crit, cannot strike weak spots and will not decay with distance. Actual factor equals 12% times psi intensity times 1 plus burn damage factor bonus times 1 plus burn final damage bonus. For the calibration, I am using a rapid shot style. For fire rate plus 10%, accuracy minus 50, fire rate plus 10% after continuous fire for 2 seconds, with a double elemental suffix of 7.8% and 11.7. As you can see, the rapid shot calibration outperforms the assault calibration by around about 9,000 DPS. This is why I've chosen to go with the rapid shot calibration. For my accessories, I am using hammer compensator for the muzzle, compact reflex sight for my optic, tactical laser sight for the tactics, and large LMG drum mag for my magazine. I am also using tungsten LMG AP ammo. For my secondary, I am using the D50 Wildfire. 60% chance to trigger the bullseye when hitting a target. There is an 80% chance to spread the bullseye to 1 enemies within 15-meter area. If there are no enemies within the area, weapon damage plus 25% for 10 seconds. When hitting a weak spot of marked enemies, attack plus 3% for 10 seconds up to 3 stacks. So what does the bullseye effect actually do? Highlight marked targets will be outlined and suffer from vulnerability plus 8% for 12 seconds. This in turn means that the enemy affected by bullseye will receive 8% extra damage. For my calibration, I am running rapid shot style. Fire rate plus 25%, magazine capacity plus 40%, and attack minus 15. Unfortunately, I don't have a double weak spot suffix, so I'm currently running 1 weak spot damage suffix and 1 crit rate. The accessories that I am using on my Wildfire are small compensator for the muzzle, compact reflex sight for the optic, small infrared indicator for the tactics, extended pistol mag for the magazine, and I am just running tungsten pistol ammo. Hi everyone, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all my viewers and subscribers. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. It really helps grow the channel and allows me to keep bringing you more content. Thanks again, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Now let's take a look at some damage testing. In my raw damage testing, I hit 72,000 DPS, which is a solid baseline for my build, gear and rotation. After applying the bullseye buff and using my Pyrodino deviant, this is where things get good. When you use Pyrodino, you gain a significant amount of blaze damage depending on the level of your dino. And as you can see, I hit 187,000 DPS. After taking a whimsical drink and a surprise spring roll, I hit 224,000 DPS. With all the nerfs and rebalancing that the KVD Boom Boom has had lately, the gun is still a beast of a weapon. The barbecue gloves with flame resonance boost burn frequency for consistent damage, while the hardy gloves with embers creates a huge explosion at full stats, dealing 300% psi intensity. Both are great, but it depends on whether you want a steady burn or a big burst damage. Alright, so here's a quick look at my raw stats. I'm rocking 113% weapon damage bonus, 149.2% status damage bonus, 122.9% elemental damage bonus, and a 10.8% burn damage increase. These are all achieved through optimizing my gear and mods in this build. It's all about maximizing those synergies and really trying to push the damage numbers. All right, check out these fully buff stats. With everything cranked up, I've got 126% weapon damage bonus, 197.7% status damage bonus, 151.4% elemental damage bonus, and a whopping 60.8% burn damage. Basically, I'm a walking, talking damage factory right now, just waiting to melt everything in sight. Here you can see the Cradle mods that I'm using. I am currently on a Lunar Oracle server, but your Cradle may differ depending on your server. Now let's look at the buffs that was used in this build. For my drink buff, I am using a whimsical drink, used to gain 25% status damage bonus. For this you will need one of any flower, one deviated saffron, 5 purified water, and 5 ice cubes. So in my testing, I found that Surprise Spring Roll actually performed better than the other food buffs. It increases elemental damage by 5 to 15%. And the best part is, if your HP drops below 40%, the effect is doubled. This is especially powerful for my build because the buff is active thanks to the armor sets I'm using. It is a nice little synergy that really boosts my overall damage when things get tough. To craft it, you'll need 2 deviated wheat, 1 cabbage, 1 corn oil, and either 2 peppercorn, 2 sugar, or 5 lunar whispers. Meet my deviant Pyro Dino. He's the unsung hero of this build. This little guy runs around attacking enemies like he's on a mission and boosts their blaze damage received by 39.2%. This is because my dino is level 5. But wait, there's more. When he attacks targets already on fire, he triggers an explosion. Yep, you heard that right. Boom. He's like a fiery little dog on a leash, causing chaos and making sure things burn even faster. Can't imagine my build without him. So now let's talk about the armor sets that I'm using in this build. My main armor set comprises of 3 pieces of Tetris tights for weapon damage reduction of 10%, when HP is below 70%, weapon damage and status damage plus 12%, and the HP reduction from low sanity is decreased by 40%. Weapon and status damage plus 10% and further increases as your sanity drops up to 28% at 30% max sanity. I'm pairing it with the 2-piece Sheltier set, which gives me a nice 15% status damage reduction and an 8% boost to my elemental damage. It is a solid combo that keeps me tanky while still cranking up the damage. Definitely a great addition to the build for better survivability and more DPS. To finish off my setup, my key armor piece is Hardy Gloves. When at full stacks, burn will cause an explosion that deals blaze damage of 300% psi intensity and removes all stacks. It's a massive damage boost and really helps clear out enemies quickly. Definitely a game changer for my build. Alright, let's talk about the mods that really make this build pop for the KVD Boom Boom. I'm using the mod Ember. When burn is removed, stacks only minus 50% with a burn suffix, which gives me a solid aptitude effect of 4.8% burn damage, 4.5% damage against elite enemies, 4.8% max HP, and a 6% blaze damage boost. If you're using barbecue gloves, go with flame resonance and the burn suffix and aim for the same aptitudes to really crank up your damage. For my secondary weapon, I am running Vulnerability Amplifier with the Precision suffix. The bullseye adds vulnerability plus 8%, with the aptitude effects of weak spot damage plus 9%, head damage reduction plus 6.4%, damage against elite enemies plus 4.5%, and max HP plus 3.6%. For my helmet mod, I'm running Deviations Expert with the Lunar suffix. Range minus 25%, fire rate plus 10%, and status damage plus 20%. My aptitude effects are the lower your HP, the higher your elemental damage up to 9.6%. Damage against great ones plus 2.4%. The lower your HP, the higher your status damage up to 9.6%, and the lower your HP, the higher your damage reduction against the deviants up to 12%. This mod is very good as it makes you be able to scale your elemental damage and your status damage very high. For my mask mod, I am using Blaze Amplifier with the burn suffix, which has this awesome core effect. Every stack of burn grants plus 3% psi intensity damage. It really helps ramp up the burn's effect. The aptitude effects on this mod are also pretty solid too. Plus 6% burn damage, plus 3.6% weapon damage reduction, with an 8% damage against normal enemies and a plus 2% extra blaze damage. But honestly, the key priorities here are the burn damage and the blaze damage. Those two are huge for maximizing your overall damage, especially when you've got all that burn stacking up. For my gloves mod, I am using Elemental Overload talents. Elemental damage, blaze, frost, shock, or blast plus 18%. Aptitude effects. Elemental damage plus 6.4%. Status damage plus 4.8%. Damage against normal enemies plus 4%. And weapon damage reduction plus 4.8%. For the chest piece mod, I am running Ardent Shield Lunar. Core effects. While the shield is active, you gain 15% damage reduction. When the shield exceeds 1,000 single instances of damage, will not penetrate the shield. My aptitude effects are the lower your HP, the higher your elemental damage up to 16%. The lower your HP, the higher your damage reduction against deviants up to 9.6%. The lower your HP, the higher your status damage up to 7.2%. And finally, damage against elite enemies plus 4.5%. For my pants mod, I'm using Bullet Siphon with the talent suffix. The core effect gives plus 5% weapon damage, and every 5 bullets consumed in the magazine grants an additional plus 4% weapon damage, capped at 20%. So after firing 25 bullets, I hit that 20% boost. I chose this over elemental resonance because I wanted more weapon damage, especially since I already had a lot of elemental and status damage in my build. But honestly, both options are great. It really comes down to personal preference. As for the aptitude effects, I'll get 3.2% elemental damage, 3% damage against elite enemies, 6% status damage, and 4.8% status damage reduction. Definitely a solid choice for increasing both my weapon and status damage. For my shoes mod, I am using Rush Air with a Talon's core effect. Every 10% HP loss grants plus 4% melee, weapon, and status damage, which really helps ramp up the damage as the fight goes on. The aptitude effects here are solid too, plus 8% elemental damage, 6% damage against normal enemies, 4.8% status damage, and 1.5% damage against elite enemies. If you're in silos or any high dense areas though, I'd also recommend running Ruthless Reaper. As you can see on screen, I'm taking out multiple enemies during a public event, and I never have to worry about reloading. It's perfect for those situations where you're constantly in combat. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more Once Human build videos.
Zombie apocalypse.